We can get started with today's stream. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm here with Edmar, and we are joined here today by Adam, who's going to take us through, creating visualizations with 3D CAD assets and going through the manufacturing demo pack, which I think some of it's available now and some of it's going to be released very soon. So we can talk about all that in just a minute. Edmar, do we have anything that we want to let the community know?
That's a great question. Actually, just reminding me that we do have something coming up where actually Jensen will be speaking, and that's Computex. We're going to show the slide a little bit later in the stream. I forgot to grab it before we came on, so let me see if I can grab that from our good friend in marketing, Greer, so we can share some more details. But that is going to be definitely something we'll be adding on the calendar on Discord and on the Ed event calendar, so you can catch that keynote there that should be
Oh,
inspiring
awesome.
as ever.
I love
Um,
watching Jensen. He's
It's
great.
awesome, and I know that there's a lot of people working right now on that content, so it should be a lot of fun to watch. So maybe we'll do a little watch party too on Discord
Oh,
server.
yes,
Speaking of
yes.
which, everyone should definitely come over to the Discord server if you're not there already, because we have recently added some new channels, including SimReady, which we've been talking about a lot about lately. Discord.gg/NVIDIA Omniverse is the place to go. Um, and we also have synthetic data generation channels, one of the newer channels we've started up too. There's a USD work study group, which is there, which is awesome. A bunch of members from the community are talking about USD together in real time, and that is awesome to see. And you can see that channel right away on the Discord server. If you have a problem
Nice.
finding anything, just hit me a note. Um, but yeah, so today, so Adam's been on the stream a couple times. So he's a veteran of the Omniverse live streams. Adam, it's so great to have you back once again. Um, Mike thought you'd be the perfect one to talk about what we're going to speak about today. And I think is the name for this demo pack we're going to show and tell called Manufacturing Demo Pack, or is it a
Yeah.
couple different demo packs?
So ideally, it'll be in the demo folder under MFG, right? And so maybe it's called something like, forget the exact verbiage. We changed this. Me like sample factory or sample welding cell, something like that. Sample robotics. Actually, we decided not on robotics. We like sample factory. Sorry, it's not up there yet. There's actually a pretty extensive approval process to get it up there. I was trying to get it up there before today's stream, but took vacation last week, and that was really fun. So
We will
it's
update.
going to be up there in about a week or so, right? And then
Cool.
you'll
And
be able to
what we'll
click it and
do
download
is
it.
we'll update the description of the video. So anyone watching this video afterwards, we'll put everything in links there so everybody will know exactly what we're talking about. But why don't you actually introduce yourself a little bit? I know we talked about it before while we're warming up, but why don't you introduce yourself again, what your role is at NVIDIA, what you're focusing on, and then what we'll be covering today.
Yeah. So we're going to be looking at like a little factory welding cell. It's a single cell in a factory. A whole bunch of cells essentially are responsible for creating the entire product at the end line, whether that's battery packs or installing a sunroof like on a car or something like that, or the whole car itself, doors, hinges, etc. So one of those little cells, the robotic cells, that does a very specific task. We're going to sprinkle in some tips and tricks in there too, because I feel like we could all use a couple of those, right? Especially if you're a user, you need to put some cash in the bank. We'll try to break some of those out. And see, as far as I go, I guess I'm a dad. Proud of that.
Yeah.
I'm a husband. My
Yeah.
wife's the most. My wife and my kid are the two most important people in the world for me.
She
Um,
she made him a breakfast sandwich before the live stream. Like how
she
great is
did.
she?
Yeah, she's like, here it is, and I was like busy working until. So I finally got to eat it. A little cold, but it's okay. It tasted good. With some love, made with some love. At NVIDIA, I'm in the simulation technology group, largely working with automotive and manufacturing right now. I mean, you name it, it's probably on the docket, right? You name the manufacturer, it's on the docket. And I really enjoy this sort of interaction on the web, this stream sort of vibes, and the creating content both internally and externally. I think I enjoy that. I enjoy seeing the fruits of my labor, people saying thank you afterwards, that sort of stuff. So that's kind of a pseudo passion. And then the other one I think that's kind of fun is just making stuff. So in my garage, I have a CNC machine, an injection molding machine, all the tools and gadgetries to go with it. And whatever I design, I can go make. It's pretty cool. My dad will hit me up and say, "Hey, part of my trailer broke. Can we fix it?" "No, we'll just make another one." Pretty cool. It's pretty fun.
That is awesome.
So that's kind of me in a nutshell, right? At the end of the day, I'm pretty much a nerd.
We do have a question from the community. Do you have any pets?
I have one dog. He's a multipoo and doesn't shed, so there's like way less maintenance on that one. Yeah, he's a good dog, good noisemaker.
Speaking of the CNC stuff, manufacturing, Wendy and I had a really fun live stream with one of the owners of Predator Cycling.
I was on that one.
Yes,
maybe one of them.
Yes. So for the audience, I'll post a link up in a minute. But that live stream was so amazing because how basically a two-person company. It's basically the founder who we spoke to in the live stream and his wife is able to do so much with the technology they have, like from start to finish, about designing and manufacturing these awesome, really really cool bicycles. So I think it's I think we saw a lot of comments during that live stream where people were just blown away about what they were able to achieve. I think the barrier has just come down so much from that were preventing people from doing this stuff before. So super exciting. So people will be able to kind of see what are in these upcoming demo packs during today's stream. Definitely feel free to post your questions in the chat. We will pick them up. And Adam, whenever you like, you could start sharing your screen and maybe tell people how they would grab this stuff when they become available.
Yeah.
By the way, we spoke a lot about automobile industry, auto manufacturing at the user group. Frank DeLeese gave, in part of his presentation, spoke about how the auto industry in particular has all these kind of like pain points along the process, from design, from concept and design and manufacturing and production, and that's something like Omniverse is a really, really good fit for because it connects all those pieces together, which has really been problematic to do previously. So makes a lot of sense that a lot of your work is involved in helping enable those workflows. So I'm really excited to see what you got here. So what are we looking at?
Yeah, well, and you look at two cars and you think that they're identical, right? And you would argue they have four wheels and a shell and they have seatbelts, and yeah, sure. But gosh, the way they go about making those sometimes is completely different from one OEM to another. And what's cool about Omniverse just being so omni, right? Is that they could develop an extension that's specific to their workflow that otherwise they would have to find some sort of workaround or some third-party program. If you really think about it, we've been given tools our entire life to do things, and you could argue changing your brakes is fixing a leaky faucet, whatever it might be. Those tools you use, a wrench, a socket, you take that tool and then you do something with it, you change it. But with Omniverse, what's cool is like all of a sudden that's not a wrench anymore. That's a wrench plus a doohickey with a whatchamacallit on it. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it does these extra things, and that's kind of the beauty of Omniverse, right? Is that we can customize it, and put our own special sauce on top of Omniverse, which is already stellar, and put our special sauce on top of it, and then all of a sudden, Chevy, Ford, Honda all have their own special sauce, and now it's doing their own thing, so it's pretty cool. So anyhow, I'm nerding out more than I should, but it is very exciting to be on the tip of the spear. I got to tell you guys, it is very cool, and I hope it shows because I really do enjoy what I do. So what we're looking at here is like a welding cell, and I put it in a warehouse scene, and I like putting things into scenes better than HDRs or HDRIs, because HDRIs are like this infinite sphere and like things just fly around. But with a scene, this is actual data. Like I can click on that wall, right? That wall is something I can click on. There's lights and lights fixtures, and I can put lights inside light fixtures, and then have that sort of can illuminate the floor differently, or you can see the light coming in from the window, And so first and foremost, it's not just about this sort of welding cell. It's about how you portray it and tell a story about it, and just putting the thing, the object, the story into a scene or environment that helps you tell it certainly goes a long way. So I wanted to start off with some tips and tricks before we get into the meat and potatoes, because I feel like there's just too many of them to go unheard. Yeah. The first one is you might have noticed this huge light over here on like it's meant to just enhance this sort of shadow on the floor. But gosh, I don't want to see it, right? Neither do I want to see the grid, neither do I want to see the little light gizmos. Now, each one of those can be turned off separately. You can hit the little eyeball button, and then you can go find the it shows you how often I go there because I don't actually go here a whole lot. Camera, lights, those sort of doodads. But really the shortcut for this is Shift H. You can see there's a grid on the ground too. There's the grid. So if you do Shift H, that's the hotkey to hide everything that doesn't belong, to make it look more photorealistic. And then Shift H again to bring it all back. Now it's necessary to have these things visible because you need to move them and modify them, and sometimes you need a different perspective on things. But Shift H will be your best friend. So that's the first one, my first little doodad for you, right? The next one is sometimes your tick movements can be really drastic. So this is like each one of those is one tick, one tick, one tick, one tick. Now, I actually don't think that's very bad. Not bad at all. But let's just say you're building a scene and all of a sudden one tick puts you out here, right? Mm-hmm. That was like 6 or 7 ticks. And so that can be frustrating. And so you're moving around and then all of a sudden you're like Superman flying around the room just way too fast, the speed of sound, you know? So you can modify all that stuff too. So there's this little hamburger icon in the upper left-hand corner. And under navigation, there's my current mouse wheel, sort of flick forward, backward sensitivity. It's set at about 2. And then here's my scaler for that. So as I can adjust that on the fly, and it's just adding 10% each time. So maybe this is too slow for some or too fast for others. You can come and adjust it here. Likewise, you have your zoom, tumble, look, and horizontal speeds that are all options that you can modify. So I want to go to that scaler again. What is that scaler about? So turns out you can right click and move around the room, and then you can center mouse button and sort of pan around the room. It's actually inverted because you're panning in space and not panning the stuff. So if you're a CAD user, it'll just take a little getting used to. But you can also fly around the room using the WASD. So you hold the right mouse button down, right? And then you can fly around the room. And then what you notice is up here in this upper left-hand corner, you have this little zoom button. It says, hey, look, you can control the speed. There's that about 2 that I had, that 1.9, right? So if I'm holding down the right mouse button, I can scroll my center mouse button in and out to increase or decrease the speed. I'm going to put it all the way to 0 or close to 0. You can see I'm just barely moving. And I'm just going to keep flicking it forward until I increase the speed 0.1, 0.2, Mach 3, Mach 4, right? And then all of a sudden I'm all the way across, right?
Nice.
So you can fly really fast. And so that's really helpful too. Now, my one complaint about this is that I need 2 mouses for this to be cool, right? So this is the next little tidbit. Because on a controller, if you think about it, on like a little gamepad, you kind of have 2 mice, right? You have like each one of the game sticks. So let's turn this on real quick. I forget. I know I deliberately launched the product version of this. So it's assuming, there we go. So look at that movement, 2 joysticks at the same time. It's like I'm running a camera. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. So
nice.
That's pretty fun. That's pretty cool. And the fact that like any Bluetooth gamepad would let you do that is pretty fun. It just looks elegant the way the camera's moving. No? You guys agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, this is what happens when I try to turn off the gamepad. It watches like some sort of game mode. We'll just turn that off for a second, just in case I don't bump it. You know, I wouldn't want to bump it and then do things up. So, all fun stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
So let's trek into like what this cell does, right? So those were I'll sprinkle in some more tips and tricks for you guys, but we're gonna go ahead and play this animation sequence. So a little background behind this geometry here that you're seeing is, you know, like each one of these Kuka robots were designed in some sort of CAD tool, right? The controllers were in some sort of CAD tool, and then that CAD geometry gets put into visual components, which allows someone to program the movements of those, right? And from visual components, we imported into Omniverse. So it's going to pick up the hood, and then the welders are going to go in and weld the sunroof in. You know.
Nice.
I wish I should have kept my gamepad going. It would have made it look cooler. You know. And then
it's very
you know,
cool.
it goes down the next line here. So that car will kind of go to the next cell. And for this case, we were just kind of like looking at one cell at a time. But this is really, really important for automotive manufacturing and factory planning because, you know, the amount of permutations of vehicles that they have is I don't want to say it makes it difficult, just makes it challenging because it's like, okay, well, this car doesn't need a sunroof, so it misses cell 2. So it goes from cell 1 to cell 4 because cell 2 and 3 are responsible for putting a sunroof on. It doesn't get a sunroof, right? Or, you know, it's an SS versus an, and what's the higher end models, or like a Shelby GT500. So it has all these other things. It's Magna Ride shocks or something, you know? And so certain cells do certain things. And what they have to do is they not only have to plan out, you know, in a spatial region, you know, where the cells are located, how many there are, and then how many can fit in that particular region. And then, you know, the human responsibilities that are in between, because usually there's like 2 or 3 cells, and there's some human sort of operation that's too detailed for, say, like a robot or something to do. But they quite often have to make changes to these things to accommodate for these new releases, new yearly changes. So from 23 to 24, they might need to add a robot to this thing, right? So what I've done, just so you guys know, because when you guys go in this demo and you guys open it up, I've kind of made things easier for you. I've grouped some things together. And so I have this group that says, if I can find it, I have this group that says like move group. It's like very convenient. Unless I don't. Hold on, I know it's here. I'm just being a knucklehead. This is when searching would come in, right? Like, Adam, why don't you search this thing? I could.
While you're looking, we got a good question from Zia. Hey Zia, how long to import, layout, and animate this? And he's also asking, is it physically accurate? Which I'm guessing it is. But are the robots also sensing the vehicle's presence?
So all that happens in all the programming and movement happens in visual components, and there are sensors and visual components that say like, oh, something's here, so we can go, because that's what the robot needs for input, right? If then else, you know. And so what we've done is we've taken all of the robot animation, vehicle animation, not the sensor animation, and we've stolen it from visual components and then put it here into Omniverse. And so this is an Isaac sim. So Isaac could drive these things, right? Or could be driven by these things. This is just representing the animation sequence. So the cool thing is if whatever happens in visual components changes, then we can get those changes here in Omniverse. But this is actually just animation data currently.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. Let me just check one thing real quick. We're gonna pivot. I think I opened up my local version of this file. So let's check real quick. Loads pretty quick too, you know? Not bad.
We got a question from Erit. Hope I'm pronouncing that okay. I'm actually a visual components user. I wonder which approach did you use in order to import VC simulation to Omniverse? Through the VC Omniverse connector, or maybe by using export to Blender, for instance, and then from Blender to Omniverse?
No, it's an Omniverse connector, right? Although you could do the Blender connector. You could export it to Blender. I'm not sure exactly what happens then. We actually have a video on it. It'll be a part of the package for the demo set. And so I'm hoping that would answer your question. I just know it's a connector. I know it's a connector, and it works.
And you said that
the
package will probably come out in about a month or so, in June.
I'm thinking the demo pack will be out in about a week.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even better.
Right.
And a big thank you to Vince Brisebois, who's king of the chat right now, answering these questions. Thank you, Vince.
Thanks, Vince.
Okay. I found my move group. Yeah, finally. Hey. So what I've done is I've created this move group just for folks to easily select these things. Otherwise, we have to like select each one individually, and it just takes time on the screen on this stream. And it took time anyway. But essentially, like one of the things that an automotive sort of industry would really want to know is, hey, look, can we put another robot here, and will it fit? And it's just like, okay, well, I'm approved to make this sort of movement, this sort of change, so we'll increase the size of our cell. And then we might want to like grab our measure tool and just take a look at, hey, is there enough room in between, this thing and this thing as it sits, 1, 2, to fit a robot, right? And you know what? You say, visually, I think there's enough. Physically, I've measured that there's enough. Keep in mind, all these robots are placed on a factory floor with GPS to like 2 decimal places of a millimeter accurate. And so like we can drive these locations extremely accurately. And if you're building, likewise, if you have a factory and you already have it, it would be advantageous to know where everything's at, right? And then the distance to things, to place other cells. And then if you're building a new one, building a new factory or a new layout or a new floor plan or a new division in a factory, being able to locate these things physically accurately, like what we see exactly just like here, and have it be placed with GPS on the shop floor, is something that otherwise would have been some sort of 3D to 2D to 3D translation, which is prone for errors. What we're saying here is, hey, let's just go from 3D to 3D. We don't need blueprints, right? We don't need 2D drawings. Here's all of our 3D assets. This is all the stuff you need, right? I say that kind of sparingly, right? We don't need 2D drawings. Everybody goes, oh no, he just said that. I really think that's the way of the future, right? We're just not there yet. Okay, we haven't convinced enough people that we're there yet. How about that? Fair enough. Okay, so it looks like we can add another robot here, so I can just go ahead and grab this cell, or grab this like little pedestal, and we can grab another robot if we wanted. There's a little tip here. You can single select something, and if I go to my stage, you can see that I have selected. Let's see. So if we go like this, I'm selecting this I-12, right, which like doesn't really mean much. But if I wanted to select more of that, I can hit the up arrow key, and that would bring me up to the next sort of hierarchy of geometry, and the next up arrow key would bring me to the next one, and then so on and so forth until we got to the top. I'll tell you that down is coming. Down doesn't work. You gotta go the other way. But there's some really cool stuff in the pipeline as far as UI and UX go that's going to make this even better, right? So stay tuned. There's like the June-July release is going to be amazing. All right. So here's this selection, this geometry selection that I'm creating, and I want to duplicate it. I can hit Control D for duplicate. You could also right-click duplicate. I just think Control D is fancier. I don't know. I've gotten used to Control D. It's burned in, so maybe I don't know. Maybe that'll burn in for you. And then we can kind of move this over and be like, you know what? That's where I want that next robot to be. And it's a really great visual. And sometimes this is all that's needed, right? So, hey, we need one more robot to do these other 2 things, because if we add those 3 or 4 different elements, those 3 or 4 different operations to these 5 robots, then all of a sudden this cell becomes the bottleneck in the whole line. And so instead of adding 3 or 4 cells to these 5 robots that are already doing things at the max capacity, you add another robot and tell it to do those 5 things. That way the cell isn't the bottleneck, right? Simple as that. All right. How am I doing on time? We're doing good?
Yeah, we're good.
Nice. Okay, so let's see. Technically, if we're going to add another robot, we need another controller. Hey, check out this cleverness. You guys see that? That's a little gem. I had to throw something in there that was like just a little bit of me, you know? So for those of you who are watching this, you can see the Tetris on the controller. So again, selecting the controller, up arrow. Oops, went too far. Okay, so up arrow, got all 3, Control D. And because we have 3 robots or 4 robots, or 6 robots, we need another controller, which is cool. All right. So I don't think that there's a lot of folks who would argue that, I mean, this KUKA robot looks pretty cool, right? But this is like straight, like the only thing I did to this KUKA robot was paint it like a more KUKA orange, right? And so you can see there's some rasterization from visual components that's in there. But everything in here is just like pretty much straight from Visual Components, minus a little bit of coloring. But I don't know. I wanted to show you guys how you can add texture and such to objects and colors or shaders and so on. Because I feel like it's not as applicable in factory planning, but it certainly is applicable in automotive. Like, just think about all the textures you have on your dash, right? So let's talk about selecting materials real quick, yeah? Because there's a couple things you need to know, yeah? The first thing is under your materials tab, right? As soon as it loads here, there is kind of 3 sub-tabs to that. There is the library, current stage, and selected. All right. So library, this is all the stuff that's kind of baked into Omniverse, and then you can add your own, you know, or you can download your own. There's like the assets in the launcher that you can go add to this list, right? And so this is great. But what you want to avoid doing is things like here I have a box. Let's just say box, and then we go anodized aluminum, and then we go anodized aluminum, and anodized aluminum. And the reason why that's kind of like, I mean, certainly all those are anodized aluminum now, and that's cool. But the reason why that's maybe not the best workflow is because now each one of those boxes is aluminum 1, 2, and 3, each one being a different aluminum. At the end of the day, they're boxes, so who really cares? But if it's something more important, right, that means if I want to make a change to this aluminum, I have to do it 3 times. If I want all the boxes to look the same aluminum, then all of them have to go back and modify each one of these aluminums, like maybe the roughness or the texture or the texture tile or whatever it might be. And so that's kind of cumbersome, right? So here's the first tidbit, right? You can go to Windows and then Utilities, Scene Optimizer. And then what you can do is you can optimize materials. And what this will do is this will look at a lot of things, actually. It's a very complicated search. It looks at swatches, it looks at settings, it looks at properties, it looks at visuals.
Nice.
Very, very nice tool. And so, like, look, you can see how many cardboard A's I have down there, yeah?
Yeah.
There's like a whole row. Actually, there's more than a whole row. There's like rows. And the cardboard A3. So this is kind of fun. And this is because those are just imported assets, and I kind of just threw them in there to soak up some space. But this material optimizer will deduplicate the things that are exactly the same, which is really cool. The other thing that's really cool too is you can load a preset. So I have these presets that I found that I've made, and they are, oh, there they are. I just named them some random stuff. Actually, these aren't mine. I actually stole these from someone else in the Scene Optimizer group. I just use them all the time, right? Because they're actually pretty dang good. So you can save these, and essentially when you save this preset, then it's just like, hey, it's going to deduplicate, and this one's going to it's going to find any geometry that has a tolerance of 0.001. It's very, very small, right? That's 0.001 millimeters. So like it's almost an exact match. And then if any X forms are empty after it's combined things and grouped things, then it'll delete those X forms for you. So there's some really fun things you can do here. That's the story that this thing's going to execute. And we're not going to do all of that because I haven't tried it. I'm not going to try it live. But what we're going to try live right now is just the optimized materials, yeah? So ideally, after I execute this, we're going to see like 1 cardboard A, 1 anodized aluminum, and like 1 of everything, unless it's been changed, right? So we'll just click execute, and it turns for a second. The new version of this that's coming out in June is going to have like a little dialog box that tells you it's actually doing something and then what it's doing, so that'll be really nice. And boom, it does a little flicker. That's how you know it's done. Beautiful, right? But it actually works great. Look at that. 1 anodized aluminum, 1 cardboard A, 1 cardboard A2. Look at that. Super clean, right? So easy to use. The next thing that you have to know about materials, right? If you don't know this, you're missing out. Is also in current state. Now this is a hidden gem for sure. I would not expect you to know this unless someone showed you this thing. All right? You ready? Are you sure you're ready?
I'm ready. We're ready.
All right. So it turns out this is the only place you can find this. Remove unused materials. It's there. It's been there the whole time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the funny thing is it's only there in current stage. So in library, you don't have that, right? It's not there. Okay. But in current stage, you have remove unused materials. So if you have you painted something 10 times. You only kept the last one because that's the one that looked best. Well, what about those other 9? They're bloating my scene. They're bloating
Yeah.
let's just get rid of them. So that's deduplicating, unifying, and then removing unused.
Nice.
Perfect. Right? Super great little tidbits. And let's do one more, shall we? Is this people finding this helpful?
Yes.
We'll do
Yes,
one
yes.
more.
Yeah, I'm holding back on a couple questions because
Yeah,
I don't want to stop you. But
Okay, one more tip, and then we'll stop. We'll take a little break. And that's when you select a material, right? So like here, I'm selecting this Kuka orange. We're picking on Kuka right now. That's okay. Then I can click the shader over here on this right-hand side. That's just going to warp me to this looks folder, right? Which is super convenient. And it just warps me to like having this thing already selected. So it's a orange cast metal, cool. And I just changed the color slightly so that it matched Kuka, right? There's a couple things that are really helpful. The first thing, and it's kind of a two-parter, so I'm mapping it out, right? The first thing is you can right-click that shader and then say select bounded objects, right? And it's going to select everything with that orange shader on it, right? The other thing you can do, and this is for like replacing materials. So the other thing you can do is you can like control click a whole bunch of widgets. I say widgets, it's just assets, just whatever you want to grab. And with them control clicked, you can say, you know what, give me some sort of, I don't know, let's make them brass so they really stand out. All right, so you can double click them. You can double click the shader on the things you have selected, and then all of those things become brass, which is really cool. Likewise, I don't want to turn everything into brass, but I guess we can do it for the sake of doing it. I can always control Z undo, right? If I right click this orange, and I say select bounded objects, missed it. I misclicked. That was me. Select bounded objects, and then I can double click brass, and that'll replace. It's gonna take a second, but that'll replace all of the Kuka orange with brass in the one pick. Right, so super efficient way of just rapidly changing. Then they actually look kind of cool. You know what it reminds me of? C3PO.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We see C3PO this scene. Yes, that's the Star Wars coming out too, guys and gals. So, what are those questions? Like before we get to the next part, let's roll through something. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it. All right. So this comes from Nandu actually. Nandu, thanks for joining us. Nandu is the developer I was referencing earlier when I was talking about our Discord server. He has been leading the USD study group on Discord. So Nandu, thanks for tuning in. Adam, during design, how did you approach the Omniverse USD sublayers? Where to place the robot, textures, lighting, etc.? Nandu has stumped you.
No, I'm trying to think of a way to answer that because there's a lot. I've been changing the way I actually use layers. Let's take a look. I mean, if we go back to the layer folder, right? I mean, I just got this main source layer. But if I open up another one, like if I open up, what do I have? I have a larger scene, and it's got like 3 different layers to it. Mostly the layers are just for modifications because I didn't want to. I didn't want to break. Okay, so look, it's a great way to use a layer, right? There's this warehouse. This warehouse is a default asset, and it's found on our OV content server for all users to use. Naturally, I don't want to break that. And this warehouse was actually full of pallets, full of racks from front to back, right? So instead of just adding to the stage, instead of just adding the warehouse to the stage, you can add it as a layer, as a sub layer, and then delete all of the racks that you don't want, i.e. delete everything, pretty much everything. I deleted all the racks in the middle of this thing. And now that layer is governing, like the highest layer wins, right? So now that layer is governing what we see in this main warehouse scene, but not affecting the source warehouse scene, right? So that's a really great way to use layers. All right. I just rebuilt this entire cell, and I rebuilt it because I was doing some fancy whiz bang stuff and I ended up breaking a whole bunch of stuff. So I just started over, and that's it. And it's not an Omniverse's fault. It's an Adam Hughes fault, and it's an alpha fault, right? So I'm like running alpha software, and then saving it, and then trying to open up in production. Neither here nor there, guys. But I just rebuilt this thing right now so that it's production ready. And this is the way I decided to go instead. All right. So here's the other side of the fence, and this is maybe the way my brain thinks. Yeah. Instead of using a series of layers, which maybe to like a newer user may be a little more ominous, right? It's like, what do these layers actually do for me? Instead, I chose to import this entire cell as a payload, right? And so you can see I've selected this thing, and then you can see all the widgetry and gadgetry that I have there. And you see this little blue arrow. That blue arrow tells me it's a payload versus this orange arrow. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see because I feel like this is small, right? So blue arrow tells you it's a payload, and then a orange arrow tells you it's a reference, all right? So payloads are optional loaded items, right? So like you don't have to load them when you load the scene. You can tell them not to load. Likewise, you can control whether you on import if your object is a payload or a reference. And I can right click a payload and convert it to a reference too, right? That's also an option. But what I want to do is I want to see if we go to edit preferences, and then you go down to stage, you can control whether on import the thing that you import is either payloaded or referenced. That gives you the blue or the orange. Okay, so here's the reason why I did that, and that's because I can unload this payload anytime I want and substitute anything else for it. This also makes it so easy to share internally because I'm like, hey, you need a scene, you need a good scene, you need a warehouse scene. Grab this demo file, unload the payload, drop in your asset, done, right? So from a shareable standpoint, it's really nice. Let me show you how this works. Hit the hamburger icon in the upper right-hand corner, and then you go to columns and you turn on payload. And then you get a little checkbox in all your payloads. And you can just uncheck the box, and then your thing's gone. These are things that I've added outside of the payload, the bases and the OV logos. We could just hide those if we wanted. But now I'm in like a fresh, clean sort of scene. And if you're thinking automotive, you're thinking like, hey, look, I could grab an Accord, put it in there, payload it, and then right on top of it, unpayload it, put a Pilot, unpayload it, put a Corvette, unpayload it, put a Volt, and then essentially you can just cycle through your design reviews by unloading and loading, or some other fancier things. There are other fancier things out there, guys, but unload a payload is really cool, and it works like a champ, So that was a long-winded answer, but I think that was like, I feel like hopefully you benefited from that. Payloads are nice.
I think we all did. That was great to go through that. Papa Chuck is here. Hey, Papa Chuck. He's asking, the USD scene for this scene will be available with the NVIDIA assets, correct?
Yep, it'll be, yeah. If fingers crossed at about a week. Let's say next week Friday would be like my internal deadline, and it'll just be under demo scene MFG. So if you browse to your content, right? Is it content? Oh gosh. It'll be under NVIDIA assets or content or something like that, where it says demo scenes. This is not the one. This is not the same thing.
If you're watching this after the fact, we'll check the video description. We'll post a link down there. Question from Michael, I missed a little earlier. Is there anything in the pipeline to import actual ladder logic into the scene for controls engineers to test their programs in the Omniverse scene?
Yeah. That is the holy grail, right? And I think that Isaac Sim is the tool that's going to revolutionize the way that we not only use robots, but like interact with them, you know, in a sense, right? Like, I don't want to say anybody could program at that point, but I'm going to say almost anyone. Like, think about asking ChatGPT, hey, program this robot arm to do this, that, and this move, and then go over there and grab this thing. And then ChatGPT's like, okay, I can write code. And that code goes into
That's
OV
so
and
sweet.
and it does the thing. You know, like that's the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But Isaac Sim is very cool. And if you haven't watched a couple of videos on Isaac Sim, you should. I'm surface level Isaac Sim certified, right? I know what it does. But collision detection for like movable robots is in that data field, in that data set. So you can think about how much robots moving around on a factory floor, whether they have collision on like a bounding box or physical collision between the object itself, you know, or its payload. Like those are the things that are in the pipeline. They're very cool stuff. Don't have release dates on it for you, but check out the Isaac Sim stuff that NVIDIA has.
Yeah, and the Isaac team started streaming every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. So that just is they're 4 weeks in and going strong. So it just happened yesterday, but the next one's only a few days away, next Tuesday. It's a great opportunity for you to jump on and chat with those folks on the same channel, so you don't need to go anywhere else. Let me see. So I want to bring up something that Eric asked a few minutes ago. And he asked if it's about materials, if there's a way to fast swap materials for a bunch of assets at once. Eric actually did cover this. Captain's here, and Captain jumped in right away. He said, hey, Eric, I did that actually in a live stream, and he did. Eric, aka Strainflow, has his engineering design and Omniverse or EDIO series live streams. I try to join him. I think that's on Thursdays. If I just pasted the link in the chat, but he basically showed how you can use Excel to swap materials very easily, a bunch at once. So very, very cool. So that link's in the chat. Adam, I don't know if you have anything to add on that, but besides what Eric had showed off.
Or what I showed off today would be like I don't know what Eric showed off, but the selecting.
He was basically using Excel to basically work in an Excel doc to create values and how the materials swap in.
Very cool. I actually haven't done that yet. I'd have to learn that. I've seen it done. Okay, we got a couple more things just to drive through, yeah, and then we can just go to the live chat Q&A, maybe in Discord, or pick up on some more questions.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
So the animation plays really nicely, which is fun and cool. But a lot of the times, like, we have to sell the thing that, like we do all of this work on the screen, right? And we know how much work it is. And I say we is like the collective sort of, I don't want to generalize this too much, but just the creative sort of artist, sort of like engineering, sort of like visual kind of nerd. Yes? That's pretty general. That's almost too general, but it's okay. But what we need to do is we need to tell a story about just how cool this is. And so animations are a really, really great way just to kind of like, you know, speak from the chest, you know, get a little bass in the voice and kind of show off the work that you've done. And I feel like with other software, that's so much work, we never go through and do it, right? Which is kind of a bummer. And so, but with Omniverse, it's pretty easy. So here I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna load this layout. So I've saved some layouts. Layouts are really nice because I don't like turning on things all the time. So I'm tired of going to tools and window and going to window and going to animation and turning on timeline and curve editor. Here's the deal. You organize your UI, and this is one that I've kind of messed up, but it's okay. I'll let it work. But you organize your UI to make it look however you want it to look. You know, if I wanted my measure tool here, I can turn on measure, and then I can drag my measure and put the tab over here, and then very cool. This is everything that I want. You go to layout, you click save, and then you can load it, and then it'll look like this every time. It's super clean. So, not that you have to do this. I literally just did this because, dang it. Sorry. That was in the way. Good old taskbar. Okay, but I literally just did this because I wanted to have my curve editor, right? And so, also baked in this demo pack is just a little tutorial on how to do animations, right? Which is fun. And so there's a camera here. Created a couple cameras. Also, collapse tree is coming, just so you guys know. There's going to be a hotkey for collapsing tree. It'll save you tons of time. But here I have this camera 1 and this flyby camera. So if I go to camera 1 and I look at my curve editor. Oh. Okay, we're going to create one from scratch. So here's how it works. Yeah? Unless it's actually here and I'm zoomed in too far. Nope, it's not. So we're going to create this from scratch. Here's how to create an animation from scratch, right? We have this, we have our camera here that's on the screen. Maybe I've actually created a camera and it's called camera 1. So we're here. Wait, does this play? It does not play. So we're going to build one. So here's camera 1. This is camera 1 that I've created. How do you create a camera? You right click and then say create. And then you select camera, right? Cool. Call it whatever you want. So camera 1 is over here in the tree. Gosh, this is annoying me. So I'm going to put this over here. Sorry. So here's camera 1. Our time bar is at 0 seconds. And then we're going to hit this little green icon here at the bottom right-hand corner. That's going to capture a key, right? Oh. Yeah, this is the wrong file. It's unfortunate. Screwed this up again. Let's load this one more time. I put the group in the wrong file today, this morning. It's just honest mistake. I'm not a robot. Make mistakes too, you know? But animations are super fun, right? Let's see if we can just trek this through before we run out of time. Animation. By the way, whenever you're adding stuff or changing materials, it's always good to look at your loading bar on the lower right-hand side just to see if it's doing something, you know? So, like, I just waited for the whole scene to load. All right, so I'm going to create... Oh, man. I seem to have broken this. That's my fault. Oh, no, I know what's wrong. It's not locked. Let's see. Nope. Well, all that prep work I did for nothing. No, just kidding. So here's the deal. Like what you do is you create a camera, and then you capture a time frame, and then you move your time bar over, and then you move your camera to the place you want it to go, and you capture the frame, and then you move the place where you want it to go next, and then you capture the frame, and then you move it out, and you capture the frame. And that's really all there is to it. And then you can save that as an animation, as an MP4 or as a JPEG, and then, or not JPEG, or a series of JPEGs. You can stitch it, whatever you wanted it to do. And then you can tell that story with animations. Yeah. I do have some that I've saved, that I've rendered. Should we pull those up real quick? Yeah, let's pull them up. Why not?
I love that background, by the way.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So let's go here. So here's the flyby animation of this that's included. And these when it's obviously when it's created, when it's a demo set, like all this stuff will be saved into it. So, but this is a rendering of the animation sequence. And I call this one a flyby because it is a little KUKA robot flyby. It's almost like a commercial for a KUKA robot. You know, it's like KUKA, fade to black, right? And then the next one is just the, and each one of those is just a keyframe, right? And again, you do all this work to paint your picture, to create your scene. It's always really cool just to throw in a little animation sequence, yeah? The last one here, the last little video we'll show before we call it, is this one. So again, this is just trekking from one camera view to the next camera view to the next camera view. And this is a RT render, so this is just a live recording. The last one was actually path trace, so it was actually a fully rendered scene. Ideally, this plays like 2x. I feel like this is it would be a quick edit to make this a 2x video.
Very cool looking though. Cool camera movement.
Yeah.
You need to make some sound effects with your mouth.
Yeah, I need to stitch in some audio with this thing. It's just all visual. Those are like punching sounds. That's all I can do. So I guess my thing here is like, just don't forget about your animations, the animation sequences. Super easy to create one, and very impressive when like you show this to upper management, like, wow, you did all of that, you know? So yeah, my tidbit there, I suppose. I think that'll do us. Unless there's any more questions, I think that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Educational.
It was great. Great. And I really appreciate all the great comments and questions and people answering each other in chat. Thanks to Vince
Yes.
also. But Adam, this looks really cool. Very awesome. This is only coming out in a week from now. Like I said earlier, we'll post the link, any further updates in the description for this video. And let me see, it's May 3rd right now, so we're talking really like probably second week of May, so not too far. Yeah, so thank you. And May, I mentioned earlier, so let me see if I can share this, but we have Computex coming up.
Yes.
So if anyone's really interested in seeing the latest that NVIDIA is up to, look at that guy on the screen. Look at that handsome gentleman. With that great jacket. Yeah, so that don't miss this date and time. It's going to be a pretty fantastic keynote. I tried to squeeze our marketing contact Greer for some information about what's going to be revealed, but even she doesn't know yet. So everything's pretty
Ooh,
pretty
it's going to
tight-lipped.
be good then. Yeah.
It's true. It's a good sign. So that's only a few weeks away. So we'll add this to the ad event calendar today, so you can check that out. So why don't we? I think that's a great idea, though. Why don't we head over to Discord, go to Community Room 1. Anyone who's watching this, come over, hang out with us for a little while. We'll grab some more of Adam's time. I'm sure we'll have some great questions in there. And then next week on this Wednesday live stream, we have Adobe coming on. We're actually meeting with them tomorrow to finalize details. So there's very little details in the ad event listing. So also top secret, but only because we're still finally alive. But Adobe's been doing some really awesome stuff lately. So we're going to be talking with them about that work and Omniverse, of course. So tune in for that next Wednesday. For all of you Houdini fans that have been asking forever about a Houdini live stream, literally minutes ago, I got word that we are doing it on May 24th. So just a few weeks away. So definitely stay tuned to that. We've actually been adding a bunch of new events to the live stream calendar. So check out the ad event calendar. Let me see. Let me put it in the chat before I forget. And then everyone else, why don't you head over to our Discord server, discord.gg. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Did you post the thing about Jensen speaking?
I did. I think I did. Did I share the screen? Is it showing, Wendy?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Yes.
That's okay.
I
hard to
just
tell.
wanted to know. I wanted to watch it.
Yeah, it's hard actually. So for people who are watching this, when you're in the stream itself, sometimes it's kind of confusing to see what everyone else can see. So understandable question there, but yeah, we have it on the screen. All right, so I would say, please, everyone, you're invited to come over to Discord. We're going to be at community room number 1, and then there's still more live streams happening this week. Check out the Ed event calendar. I'll put it in the chat in about 1 second. And Wendy, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. And Adam, can't thank you enough for your third time on our live stream.
Woo!
I look
Thanks for
forward to
having
the
me, man.
fourth.
This is a great time. Sign me up anytime.
It's
Absolutely.
you have an open invite. Feel free to pop in anytime. But yeah, we'll definitely maybe in the June time frame when the big update happens. That may be a good time to have you come back.
Totally. That'd be a perfect time. But you can just also have me along for a fly on the wall one of these times.
Yeah, you listen. Your role is set. You can pop in, and this live stream green room is a top secret room to anyone who's watching this live stream. So people on Discord server, they don't see it, but if you are a guest, you have a special temporary privilege to come in and join the panelists. So Adam, you have a permanent thing, so you can always jump in. You'll see it
pop
little
in
arrive.
anytime.
And actually,
All right.
so that's a really good point I wanted to mention. So we would love to have Omniverse users on the live stream during some of these streams.
Yes.
So like actually today it would have been smart of me to invite Papa Chuck, for example, to come on and be a visitor on the stream because he could ask some great live questions. So if you're looking at the calendar, at event calendar, and you see as a great live stream that you feel like you'd be a great contributor to, just as an Omniverse user, absolutely send me a note and we will bump up your privilege so you can jump in a live stream agreement with us and have some fun with us during the stream. That would be awesome. All right, so we'll see everybody on the Discord channel, community room number 1. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
You guys,
guys.
thanks.
Bye.